Hey cats, come on in. Good to have you with us today. Glad to have you join me in the man cave. Yeah, we're going to talk about motorcycles today. We're going to talk about adventure riding. Now, the weather's turning nice. It's getting very nice around here. So, in fact, yesterday I was out in the truck and I saw quite a few motorcycles. Inside today, we're looking at almost 65 degrees in the man cave here. And it's about the same temperature outside. So as the day progresses, it's going to warm up really nice in here. It'd be a good day for tinkering around on my bike. But I wanted to talk about adventure riding. It's kind of a new sport that seems to have surfaced, and I'm sure it's been going on for a while, but it seems like it's pretty new to me. I hadn't really heard too much about it before until V turned me on to a video that we watched the other day. I'll put the link down below. If you got a couple hours to watch it, yeah, it's a couple hours long, but it's really entertaining. Whew, I couldn't believe it. But, around here in Northeast Ohio, we don't have a lot of adventure, so to speak. I mean, we don't have mountains. We don't have a lot of twisties. We don't have cliffs and, a lot of crazy dirt roads or anything like that. Now, I can go out in Amish country, not even 15 minutes from here, and get on a gravel road. But they're pretty much just straight, and I can navigate those really easily with my Harley. I've got a lot of experience on a dirt bike, so you just have to kind of keep moving along, keep her going. When you're on gravel, it can get a little squirrely, but you're not going to drop it if you just keep moving ahead. But that's about as close to an adventure ride as you're going to get around here. Now, what the heck am I talking about adventure riding? A lot of these trips, and I'm sure there's some in the U.S., and perhaps some of you have already done it, but an adventure bike is not so much like a Harley. We're talking about a motorcycle that's a way more versatile for not only road travel, but for, doing heavy cornering and off-road as well. Yeah, on and off-road purposes. And you don't see a lot, like I said, you don't see a lot of that here in Northeast Ohio. So some people will travel to get to these places where they can go on these adventures. Now I'm sure there's a lot of different options, but there's a website, I'll put the link to that down below, and that's called Ride Expeditions. They offer a number of different trips, and they're all in different countries. You can ride in Vietnam, you can ride in South Africa, Patagonia. They have different rides, and these rides go for, anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. So you go on these rides and you have these adventure bikes, which, like I said, are like a BMW or a Royal Enfield. They're bikes that are designed for, they're lightweight bikes, and they're designed that they can go on and off-road. They handle very well on the road, but when you get in off-road conditions where you're in mud or you're in rocks, they can tackle that too. And these adventures will take you up into the mountains. They'll take you in places that, you wouldn't believe. But it was very interesting to me. So, I thought, wow, this is like really cool. This is like something that I think I could do, that I would like to do. And I really looked into it. And I haven't found, I really haven't researched anything in the U.S., but I looked into maybe traveling into some of these other countries to take one of these adventure rides. That alone could get pretty costly. I could afford it. I could pool my money together and I could afford it. I'd have to leave V at home and probably take a week's adventure. But then the more I looked into it, there were a lot of downsides to it that I'm just not quite sure if it was something I want to do right now. Number one, the COVID restrictions on travel, and a lot of airports, are even closed to international travel. So you'd really have to plan that out in advance. One of the things you're required to have for these adventure rides, though, is not only an adventure bike. I could just see myself trying to do it on my Harley. I'd get into some of the, even if I got into mud, I'd probably get mired down and get stuck because I don't have a knobby tire on the back. And the bike's so heavy, if I did drop it, I'd have a heck of a time picking it back up. Now, some of these adventure rides are rated for experienced riders only. Some of them will tell you that, it's okay to ride this adventure if you're a novice, but you have to have some experience at riding on and off-road. I could do that, but you have to have the gear. The gear is required. So they have what they call, first of all, an adventure helmet. It's a full-face helmet, but unlike, a regular helmet, these are way more lightweight. And you're going to need something very light, so, if you're off-road and your head's jostling around, your neck's not going to get sore from having a big, hunky street helmet on there. It's called an adventure helmet. And those can be pretty expensive. You're going to need an adventure jacket, which you're not going to be able to wear leathers on one of these trips because some of the temperatures can get pretty high. So I think one of them is even in the desert in Africa where you ride. And, temperatures can be like 100 degrees, so you're not going to want to wear leathers. You get this adventure jacket, and it breathes, it's lightweight. They have padded elbows, padded shoulders in case you are to go down. There's a cost for those too, can run up to like $500 for an adventure jacket. Then you're going to have to get the pants. You're not going to wear shorts on one of these adventures. And they recommend like a Kevlar jeans. They're designed for riding. Some of them even have like pouches in the knee where you can stick like knee pads in there in case you're going to go down on your knee. It'll protect your knees. Some of them have hip pads. And there's different, varieties of those adventure trousers that you can get too. And then, of course, they want you to have the riding boots that come up to your ankle, almost like a motocross boot, to give you good traction for your footing, but protect your ankles too. So you're all decked out like you're ready to go to a motocross race, and it's not a race, but it is a ride of endurance and skill. Some of these can be pretty tricky. One that I watched that was very interesting, where they were riding in Vietnam. Now, the interesting thing about Vietnam is you're not going to see a Harley like this riding around in Vietnam. You may, but it would be a very rare sight. Most of the motorcycles there are like 50cc to like up to 250cc bikes, Hondas, Yamahas, some other odd foreign, but they're almost like little scooters because like 90% of the population travels on these little scooters. So there's these incredible adventures you go on in Vietnam, but you ride one of these like 250cc or under motorcycles, or they call them motorcycles. To me, it's more like a scooter. You remember those Honda 90s, that we used to have when we were kids? Yeah, kind of like one of those Trail 90s. That's kind of what they resemble. Some of them look like sport bikes, but they're not sport bikes. And the other interesting thing, in the city in Vietnam, your typical speed limit's going to be 25 mile an hour or under. And on any other roads, the speed limit is normally not even over 40 miles an hour. So, you're not going to be flying down the highway on your Harley when you go to these odd countries. So, but the most interesting thing these people were riding on one of these tours, and they were in Hanoi, in Vietnam. And the traffic there is just crazy, crazy, crazy. There's really no traffic control to speak of. I think in some areas they do have traffic lights or maybe even a stop sign, but for the most part, when you come to an intersection in the city and it's heavily congested traffic, it's every man for himself. You fight your way through the intersection, and it's a wonder people don't get killed. It's a slower speed of traffic, but our traffic just keeps moving constantly. So you're even if you're traveling just on a street in the city, you've got not only vehicles, but hundreds of these motorbikes just surrounding you and cutting you off and turning lanes in front of you, and it is just the most craziest thing I ever saw. And I just pictured myself trying to do that on my Harley, and I thought, no way, no way, no way, no way would I ever attempt that. It would be kind of creepy to do even on one of those little scooters, but the scooters are way more agile, it's almost like a bicycle with a motor on it, and they just whip around through traffic, and it's just amazing. But quite a lot of diversity in these adventure rides, and some of them will take you up into the mountains where the road disintegrates into like a dirt trail, pretty much. And vehicles do travel on these roads in these countries, and don't think anything about it. But for me, I wouldn't even consider taking my Harley on some of these roads. There's water you go through, there's mud, and like a vertical cliff on the side. And there's places where there's a rock slide has come down and covered the road, and you have to fight your way around that. So real interesting to me, real interesting to me. Now I'm going to do a little more research and see if there's some adventure rides available here in the U.S. That would probably be a little more affordable. I was looking into, there was an adventure ride that takes place in South Africa that looked really cool. It's an 8-day ride. You ride with a bunch of other people. And now the average people that ride these are not kids. They're like my age, in their 50s, 60s, even some in their 70s that go on these adventure rides, because they can be pretty costly. I mean, to fly to Cape Town, South Africa, is going to cost you well over $1,000 for the flight. It's a 24-hour flight. The 2 days of being in the air just to get there. But the neat thing about the ride is it takes you along the coast of South Africa. Some amazing views and some of the most rugged, incredible ocean with whales and seals and penguins. And then when you get into the inner country there, you're going to see elephants and giraffes and maybe even a leopard, or a lot of wild animal, a lot of wildlife and stuff to see. Some of the stops they stop, you might sleep in a tent. Some places you're going to be in a 5-star hotel. They feed you, they take care of everything. Looks like a fun adventure. Anyway, there you go. Watch the video and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Adventure riding, adventure biking. A cool sport. Looks like something really fun. If you've been adventure riding, leave your comment down below. If you can tell me a little more about it, let me know. If you want to go on an adventure ride with me, let me know. Maybe we'll work something out here. Maybe we can find some place to go that's affordable and with this COVID restrictions not too difficult to do. So there you go, kids. That's my story for today. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe it perked your interest in adventure riding. For me, right now I'm going to stick with the Harley, and it's about time to take the bike out. Looks like it may rain today, but that's here or there. I don't know. I'm not going to be riding today. There's still plenty of salt on the road. I still have snow down here that's melting. It hasn't completely melted away yet. And then we've got a lot of medical appointments coming up here this week too, to deal with some pretty heavy stuff. So that's all I got. Thanks for joining me today. Till next time, cats, ride hard and die free.